Text 3.
तस्यानुचरितं राजन् ऋषिभिस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः श्रुतं हि वर्णितं भूरि त्वया सीतापतेर्मुहुः.
Translation.
O King Parikshit, the transcendental activities of Lord Ramachandra have been described by great saintly persons who have seen the truth. Because you have heard again and again about Lord Ramachandra, the husband of Mother Sita, I shall describe these activities only in brief. Please listen.
गुर्वर्थे त्यक्तराज्यो व्यचरदनुवन् पद्मपद्भ्यां प्रियायाः पाणिस्पर्शाक्षमाभ्यां मृजितपथरुजो यो हरीन्द्रानुजाभ्यां वैरूप्याच्छुरपणख्यः प्रियविरहरुषारोपितभ्रूज विजृम्भितरस्ताब्धिर्बद्धसेतुः खलदवदहनः कोलसेन्द्रोऽवतान्नः.
Translation.
To keep the promise of his father intact, Lord Ramachandra immediately gave up the position of king and, accompanied by his wife, Mother Sita, wandered from one forest to another on his lotus feet, which was so delicate that they were unable to bear even the touch of Sita's palms. The Lord was also accompanied by Hanuman, king of the monkeys, or by another monkey, Sugriva, and by his own younger brother, Lord Lakshmana, both of whom gave him relief from the fatigue of wandering in the forest. Having cut off the nose and ears of Shurpanakha, thus disfiguring her, the Lord was separated from Mother Sita. He therefore became angry, moving his eyebrows and thus frightening the ocean, who then allowed the Lord to construct a bridge to cross the ocean. Subsequently, the Lord entered the kingdom of Ravana to kill him, like a fire devouring a forest. May that Supreme Lord, Ramachandra, give us all protection.
Text 5.
विश्वामित्राध्वरे येन मारीचाद्या निशाचराः पश्यतो लक्ष्मणस्य वहता नैरृत्य पुङ्गवाः.
Translation.
In the arena of the sacrifice performed by Vishwamitra, Lord Ramachandra, the king of Ayodhya, killed many demons, rakshasas, and uncivilized men who wandered at night in the mode of darkness. May Lord Ramachandra, who killed these demons in the presence of Lakshmana, be kind enough to give us protection.
Text 6 and 7.
यो लोकवीरसमितो धनुरैश्यमुग्रं सीता स्वयंवरगृहे त्रिशतोपनीतम् आदाय बालगजलील वेक्षुयष्टिं सज्जीकृतं नृपविकृष्य बभञ्ज मध्ये जित्वानुरूपगुणशीलवयोङ्गरूपां सीताभिधां श्रियमुरस्य भीलब्धमानां मार्गे व्रजन् भृगुपत्तेर्व्यनयत् प्ररूढं दर्पं महीमकृत्र्यस्त्रीरराजबीजाम्.
Translation.
O King, the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra were wonderful, like those of a baby elephant. In the assembly where Mother Sita was to choose her husband, in the midst of the heroes of this world, he broke the bow belonging to Lord Shiva. This bow was so heavy that it was carried by 300 men, but Lord Ramachandra bent and strung it and broke it in the middle, just as a baby elephant breaks a stick of sugarcane. Thus the Lord achieved the hand of Mother Sita, who was equally as endowed with transcendental qualities of form, beauty, behavior, age, and nature. Indeed, she was the goddess of fortune, who constantly rests on the chest of the Lord. While returning from Sita's home after gaining her at the assembly of competitors, Lord Ramachandra met Parshurama. Although Parshurama was very proud, having rid the earth of the royal order 21 times, he was defeated by the Lord, who appeared to be a Kshatriya of the royal order.
Text 8.
यह सत्यपाश परिवीत पितुर्निर्देशं स्त्रैणस्य चापि शिरसा जगृहे सभारयः राज्यं श्रियं प्रणयिनः सुहृदो निवासं त्यक्त्वा ययो वनमसूनिव मुक्तसंगः.
Translation.
Carrying out the order of his father, he was bound by a promise to his wife. Lord Ramachandra left behind his kingdom, opulence, friends, well-wishers, residence, and everything else, just as a liberated soul gives up his life, and went to the forest with Sita. Purport: Maharaja Dasharatha had 3 wives. One of them, Kaikeyi, served him very pleasingly, and he therefore wanted to give her a benediction. Kaikeyi, however, said that she would ask for the benediction when it was necessary. At the time of the coronation of Prince Ramachandra, Kaikeyi requested her husband to enthrone her son Bharata and send Ramachandra to the forest. Maharaja Dasharatha, being bound by his promise, ordered Ramachandra to go to the forest according to the dictation of his beloved. And the Lord, as an obedient son, accepted the order immediately. He left everything without hesitation, just as a liberated soul or great yogi gives up his life without material attraction.
Text 9.
रक्षः स्वसुरव्यकृतरूप शुद्ध बुद्धिस्तस्यः खरत्रिशिरदूषण मुख्य बंधून जघ्ने चतुर्दश सहस्त्रम पारणीय कोदंड पाणि रटमान उवास कृच्छ्रम.
Translation.
While wandering in the forest, where he accepted a life of hardship, carrying his invincible bow and arrows in his hand, Lord Ramachandra deformed Ravana's sister, who was polluted with lusty desires, by cutting off her nose and ears. He also killed her 14,000 Rakshasa friends, headed by Khara, Trishira, and Dushana.
Text 10.
सीता कथा श्रवण दीपित रिच्छयेन सृष्टम विलोक्य नृपते दशकंधरेण जग्नेद्भुतैर्न वपुषा श्रमतोपकृष्टो हरिचमाशु विशिखेन यथा कमुग्रह.
Translation.
O King Parikshit, when Ravana, who had 10 heads on his shoulders, heard about the beautiful and attractive features of Sita, his mind was agitated by lusty desires, and he went to kidnap her. To distract Lord Ramachandra from his ashrama, Ravana sent Maricha in the form of a golden deer, and when Lord Ramachandra saw that wonderful deer, he left his residence and followed it and finally killed it with a sharp arrow, just as Lord Shiva killed Daksha.
Text 11.
रक्षोऽधमेन वृक्वद विपिने समक्षम वैदेह राज दुहितर्य पया पितायाम भ्रात्रा वने कृपणवत प्रियया वियुक्तः स्त्री संगीना गतिमिति प्रथयंश्चारय.
Translation.
When Ramachandra entered the forest and Lakshmana was also absent, the worst of the Rakshasas, Ravana, kidnapped Sita Devi, the daughter of the king Videha, just as a tiger seizes unprotected sheep when the shepherd is absent. Then Lord Ramachandra wandered in the forest with his brother Lakshmana, as if very much distressed due to separation from his wife. Thus he showed by his personal example the condition of a person attached to women.
दग्ध्वात्मकृत्य हतकृत्य महन कबंधम सख्यम विधायक पिभिर्दयिता गतिम तह बुद्ध्वाथवालिनी हथे प्लवगेंद्र सैन्यैर्वेलामगाथ समनुजो अज भवार्चितांघ्रिः.
Translation.
Lord Ramachandra, whose lotus feet were worshipped by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, had assumed the form of a human being. Thus he performed the funeral ceremony of Jatayu, who was killed by Ravana. The Lord then killed the demon named Kabandha, and after making friends with the monkey chiefs, killing Vali and arranging for a deliverance of Mother Sita, he went to the beach of the ocean. Purport: when Ravana kidnapped Sita, he was obstructed on the way by Jatayu, a large bird. But the powerful Ravana defeated Jatayu in the fight and cut his wing. When Ramachandra was searching for Sita, he found Jatayu almost dead and was informed that Sita has been carried off by Ravana. When Jatayu died, Lord Ramachandra did the duty of a son by performing the funeral ceremony, and then he made friends with the monkeys to deliver Sita Devi.
Text 13.
यद्रोष विभ्रम विवृत्त कटाक्षपात संभ्रांतन क्रम करो भयगीर्ण घोषः सिंधु शिरस्य रहणम परिगृह्य रूपी पादार विंदमुपगम्य बभाष एतत्.
Translation.
After reaching the beach, Lord Ramachandra fasted for 3 days, awaiting the arrival of the ocean personified. When the ocean did not come, the Lord exhibited his pastimes of anger, and simply by his glancing over the ocean, all the living entities within it, including the crocodiles and sharks, were agitated by fear. Then the personified ocean fearfully approached Lord Ramachandra, taking all paraphernalia to worship him. Falling at the Lord's lotus feet, the personified ocean spoke as follows.
Text 14.
न त्वां वयं जडधियो नो विदां भूमन कूटस्थमादिपुरुषं जगतामधीशं यत्सत्त्वतः स्वर्गणा रजसः प्रजेशा मन्युश्च भूतपतयः स भवान् गुणेशः.
Translation.
O all-pervading Supreme Person, we are dull-minded and did not understand who you are. But now we understand that you are the Supreme Person, the Master of the entire universe, the unchanging and original personality of Godhead. The demigods are infatuated with the mode of goodness, the Prajapatis with the mode of passion, and the Lord of ghosts with the mode of ignorance. But you are the master of all these qualities.
Text 15.
कामं प्रयाहि जहि विश्रवसोवमेहं त्रैलोक्य रावणम् अवाप्नुहि वीरपत्नीं बध्निः सेतुमिह ते यशसो वित्तते गायन्ति दिग्विजयिनो यमुपेत्य भूपः.
Translation.
My Lord, you may use my water as you like. Indeed, you may cross it and go to the abode of Ravana, who is the great source of disturbance and crying for the three worlds. He is the son of Vishrava, but is condemned like urine. Please go, kill him, and thus regain your wife Sita Devi. O great hero, although my water presents no impediment to your going to Lanka, please construct a bridge over it to spread your transcendental fame. Upon seeing this wonderfully uncommon deed of your lordship, all the great heroes and kings in the future will glorify you.
16.
बद्धो दधो रघुपतिर्विविधाद्रिकूटः सेतुं कपीन्द्र करकंपित भूरुहांगः सुग्रीव नील हनुमत प्रमुखैर्निकैर्लंकां विभीषण दृशा विशदग्रदग्धाम्.
Translation.
Shukadeva Goswami said, after constructing a bridge over the ocean by throwing into the water the peaks of mountains whose trees and other vegetation had been shaken by the hands of great monkeys, Lord Ramachandra went to Lanka to release Sita Devi from the clutches of Ravana. With the direction and help of Vibhishana, Ravana's brother, the Lord, along with the monkey soldiers, headed by Sugriva, Neela, and Hanuman, entered Ravana's kingdom, Lanka, which had previously been burned by Hanuman. Purport. Great mountain peaks covered with trees and plants were thrown into the sea by the monkey soldiers and began to float by the supreme will of the Lord. By the supreme will of the Lord, many great planets float weightlessly in space like swabs of cotton. If this is possible, why should great mountain peaks not be able to float on water? This is the omnipotence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He can do anything and everything he likes because he is not under the control of the material nature. Indeed, material nature is controlled by him. Mayadhyakshena prakrutihi suyate sa characharam. Only under his direction does prakriti or material nature work. Similar information is given in the Brahma Samhita.
यस्याज्ञया भ्रमति संभृत कालचक्रो गोविंदमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि.
Describing how material nature works, the Brahma Samhita says that the sun moves as desired by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, for Lord Ramachandra to construct a bridge over the Indian Ocean with the help of monkey soldiers who threw great mountain peaks into the water is not at all wonderful. It is wonderful only in the sense that it has kept the name and fame of Lord Ramachandra eternally celebrated.
Text 17.
सावानरेन्द्र बलरुद्ध विहार कोष्ठ श्रीद्वार गोपुर सदोवलभ्य विटंका निर्भज्यमान धिषण ध्वज हेम कुंभ श्रृंगाटका गजकुलैरदिनीव घूर्णा.
Translation.
After entering Lanka, the monkey soldiers, led by chiefs like Sugriva, Neela, and Hanuman, occupied all the sporting houses, granaries, treasuries, palace doorways, city gates, assembly houses, palace frontages, and even the resting houses of the pigeons. When the city's crossroads, platforms, flags, and golden water pots on its domes were all destroyed, the entire city of Lanka appeared like a river disturbed by a herd of elephants.
Text 18.
रक्षः पतिस्तदवलोक्य निकुंभ कुंभ धूम राक्ष दुर्मुख सुरांतक नरांतकादीन पुत्रम प्रहस्तमतिकाय विकंपनादीन सर्वानुगान समहिनो दथ कुंभकर्णम.
Translation.
When Ravana, the master of the Rakshasas, saw the disturbances created by the monkey soldiers, he called for Nikumbha, Kumbha, Dhumraksha, Durmukha, Surantaka, Narantaka, and other Rakshasas, and also his son Indrajit. Thereafter he called for Prahasta, Atikaya, Vikampana, and finally Kumbhakarna. Then he induced all his followers to fight against the enemies.
Text 19.
ताम यातु धान प्रतनाम शिशूल चाप प्रासृष्टि शक्ति शरतोमर खंग दुर्गाम सुग्रीव लक्ष्मण मरुत्सुत गंधमादि नीलांग दर्क्षपन सादि भिरन्वितोगाथ.
Translation.
Lord Ramachandra, surrounded by Lakshmana and monkey soldiers like Sugriva, Hanuman, Gandhamada, Neela, Angada, Jambavan, and Panasa, attacked the soldiers of the Rakshasas, who were fully equipped with various invincible weapons like swords, lances, bows, prasas, rushtis, shakti arrows, khadgas, and tomaras.
Text 20.
तेनिकपा रघुपतेरभिपत्य सर्वे द्वंद्वं वरुथमिभपत्तिरथाश्वयोद्धः जघ्नूर्द्रुमैर्गिरिगदेषु भिरंगदाद्यः सीताभिमर्शहत मंगल रावणेशान.
Translation.
Angada and the other commanders of the soldiers of Ramachandra faced the elephants, infantry, horses, and chariots of the enemy and hurled against them big trees, mountain peaks, clubs, and arrows. Thus the soldiers of Lord Ramachandra killed Ravana's soldiers, who had lost all good fortune because Ravana had been condemned by the anger of Mother Sita. Purport: the soldiers of Lord Ramachandra recruited in the jungle were all monkeys and did not have proper equipment with which to fight the soldiers of Ravana. For Ravana's soldiers were equipped with weapons of modern warfare, whereas the monkeys could only throw stones, mountain peaks, and trees. It was only Lord Ramachandra and Lakshmana who shot some arrows, but because the soldiers of Ravana were condemned by the curse of Mother Sita, the monkeys were able to kill them simply by throwing stones and trees. There are two kinds of strength, Daiva and Purushakara. Daiva refers to the strength achieved from the transcendence, and Purushakara refers to the strength organized by one's own intelligence and power. Transcendental power is always superior to the power of the materialist. Depending on the mercy of the Supreme Lord, one must fight one's enemies even though one may not be equipped with modern weapons. Therefore, Krishna instructed Arjuna, Mam anusmara yudhyacha. Think of me and fight. We should fight our enemy to the best of our ability, but for victory, we must depend on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Text 21.
रक्षः पतिः स्वबल नष्टिमवेक्ष रुष्ट आरुह्य यानकमथाभिससार रामम् स्वहस्यन्दिने द्युमति मातलीनोपनीते विभ्राजमान महन्निशितः क्षुरप्रः.
Translation.
Thereafter, when Ravana, the king of the Rakshasas, observed that his soldiers had been lost, he was extremely angry. Thus he mounted his airplane, which was decorated with flowers, and proceeded toward Lord Ramachandra, who sat on the effulgent chariot brought by Matali, the chariot driver of Indra. Then Ravana struck Lord Ramachandra with sharp arrows.
Text 22.
रामस्तमः पुरुषाद पुरीशयन्नः कान्ता समक्षमसतापहृताश्वतते त्यक्तत्रपस्य फलमद्य जुगुप्सितस्य यच्छामि काल इव कर्तुलङ्घ्य वीर्यः.
Translation.
Lord Ramachandra said to Ravana, You are the most abominable of the man-eaters. Indeed, you are like their stool. You resemble a dog, for as a dog steals eatables from the kitchen in the absence of the householder, in my absence you kidnapped my wife Sita Devi. Therefore, as Yamaraja punishes sinful men, I shall also punish you. You are most abominable, sinful, and shameless. Today, therefore, I, whose attempt never fails, shall punish you. Purport: Nacha Daivata Param Balam. No one can surpass the strength of the transcendence. Ravana was so sinful and shameless that he did not know what the result would be of kidnapping Mother Sita, the pleasure potency of Ramachandra. This is the disqualification of the Rakshasas. Asatyam apratishtham te jagadahuranishwaram. The Rakshasas are unaware that the Supreme Lord is the ruler of the creation. They think that everything has come about by chance or accident and that there is no ruler, king, or controller. Therefore, the Rakshasas act independently as they like, going even so far as to kidnap the goddess of fortune. This policy of Ravana's is extremely dangerous for the materialist. Indeed, it brings ruin to the materialistic civilization. Nonetheless, because atheists are Rakshasas, they dare to do things that are most abominable, and thus they are punished without fail. Religion consists of the orders of the Supreme Lord, and one who carries out these orders is religious. One who fails to carry out the Lord's orders is irreligious, and he is to be punished.
Text 23.
एवं क्षिपन् धनुषी संधित मुत्ससर्ज बाणं सवज्रमिव तद्धृदयं बिभेद सो सृगवमन् दशमुख्यार्ण्यपतद्विमानाद्धाहेति जलपति जने सुकृतीव रिक्तः.
Translation.
After thus rebuking Ravana, Lord Ramachandra fixed an arrow to his bow, aimed at Ravana, and released the arrow which pierced Ravana's heart like a thunderbolt. Upon seeing this, Ravana's followers raised a tumultuous sound carrying, "Alas! Alas! What has happened? What has happened?" As Ravana, vomiting blood from his 10 mouths, fell from his airplane, just as a pious man falls to earth from the heavenly planets when the results of his pious activities are exhausted. Purport: in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 21, it is said, Shine punye martyalokam vishanti. When the results of their pious activities are exhausted, those who have enjoyed in the heavenly planets fall again to earth. The fruitive activities of this material world are such that whether one acts piously or impiously, one must remain within the material world according to different conditions, for neither pious nor impious actions can relieve one from Maya's clutches of repeated birth and death. Somehow or other, Ravana was raised to an exalted position as the king of a great kingdom with all material opulences. But because of his sinful act of kidnapping Mother Sita, all the results of his pious activities were destroyed. If one offends an exalted personality, especially the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one certainly becomes most abominable. Bereft of the results of pious activities, one must fall down like Ravana and other demons. It is therefore advised that one transcend both pious and impious activities and remain in the pure state of freedom from all designations. Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam. When one is fixed in devotional service, he is above the material platform. On the material platform, there are higher and lower positions, but when one is above the material platform, he is always fixed in a spiritual position. Sa gunan samatityaitan brahmabhuyaya kalpate. Ravana or those like him may be very powerful and opulent in this material world, but theirs is not a secure position, because after all, they are bound by the results of their karma. Karmana daivanetrena. We should not forget that we are completely dependent on the laws of nature.
प्रकृतेः क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहंकार विमूढ़ात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते.
The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the 3 modes of material nature, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by nature. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text 27. One should not be proud of one's exalted position and act like Ravana, thinking oneself independent of material nature's laws.
Text 24.
ततो निष्क्रम्य लंकाया यातु धान्यः शस्त्रशः मंदोदर्या समम तत्र प्ररुदन्त्य उपाद्रवन्.
Translation.
Thereafter, all the women whose husbands had fallen in the battle, headed by Mandodari, the wife of Ravana, came out of Lanka. Continuously crying, they approached the dead bodies of Ravana and the other Rakshasas.